Hi there everybody, this is Accelerated Lesson 7-2. This is part 2 of the video, and in this part of the video we are going to focus on the practice work that goes along with lesson 7-2. One thing that I want to reiterate and remind you from the previous video is that when you have variables on both sides of the equation, both sides of the equal sign, you have to use those properties of equality, like you see here in this work, in order to get all the variable terms to one side of the equal sign and the constant terms on the other. Okay, there you can do pretty much anything you want as long as you use those properties of equality, and it doesn't matter if the variable term ends up on the left side of the equal sign or on the right side of the equal sign. So now let's do some practice work. Let's go through questions 4, 5, 6, and 7 here, and then we'll flip the page over and we're going to do pretty much all of that practice and problem solving. I think there's one question that we're going to skip over, but the rest of those we're going to do just to give you some practice in setting up the problems, and also practice with the fractions and finding common denominators, as well as making sure that you are comfortable with using your properties of equality to get variables on one side and constants on the other. All right, so let's begin at number 4. It says Maria and Liam work in a banquet hall. Maria earns 20% commission on her food sales, and Liam earns a weekly salary of $625 plus a 10% commission on his food sales. What amount of food sales will result in Maria and Liam earning the same amount for the week? So what we see here is that Maria earns 20% commission. So we're going to use the decimal form of that in her food sales. So I'm going to call that F for food sales. And that has to be, what we're trying to do is figure out what amount of food sales she needs for that number to be equal to Liam's salary, which is $625 plus he earns 10% of his food sales in commission. So now we're going to solve this equation for F. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to move the variable term over to the left side. Okay, I only have one constant term in this entire equation, so I'm going to leave that one where it is, and we're going to move the variable term over to the left side. And we do that by using the subtraction property of equality, and we're going to take the 10 hundredths F minus the 10 hundredths F, so that disappears. And then over on the left side, we've got 20 hundredths F minus 10 hundredths F, which equals 10 hundredths F. And then, of course, on the right side, we still have our constant term of 625. So now we're going to use our division property of equality, because we have multiplication with the variable, and we're going to divide both sides by that 10 hundredths, like so. And what do you think we're going to get? So now that my 10 hundredths has disappeared, what does F equal? Hopefully you got $6,250 in food sales. Now let's go ahead and take a look at number 6. I know you see fractions there. Okay, we're going to skip number 5, so we'll just cross that one out. I know you see fractions there, and sometimes that makes you uncomfortable. Just remember that you are going to combine like terms, which means if you are adding or subtracting those fractions, you have to have a common denominator. So the first thing that I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to get a common denominator with the two variable terms, okay? And then come back and we'll check your answer there. All right, so all I've done is rewritten the problem so that each of the terms that has an X on it has a common denominator. And now I'm going to work with my properties of equality, okay, to set up this problem. And we're going to take the negative 6/15 X and we're going to actually add that to both sides. Okay, so that makes this disappear, And on the left side of my equal sign, I still have a 3. And on the right side of the equal sign, I have 16/15x plus 1/3. Now, we're going to leave that 16/15x in its improper form because we're going to be needing it in a fraction form here, okay, when we solve for x. So just leave that as a 16/15x. The next thing that I have to do now is I have to move my constant term over to the left. So I'm still going to use those properties of equality, but this time I'm going to take away 1/3 from both sides. Now, what I end up with is 16/15x on the right, and then I need to do 3, take away 1/3, which is 2 2/3. Now we're going to solve for x by using that division property of inequality. Well, in the case of fractions, we're going to use the multiplication property of equality because we're going to be multiplying by a reciprocal. So my next step is to go ahead and change this 2 2/3 into an improper fraction. Okay, because when I multiply fractions, it's got to be in a fraction form. I don't want to mess with a mixed number. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by that reciprocal of the term with the x. In this case, 16/15x is going to get multiplied by 15/16. Leave the x where it is because that's what we want on that side of the equal sign. So my 15s and my 16s disappear. So on the right side I've got x, and on the left side now I need to do this math. Remember, when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across the numerators and straight across the denominators. And you should get 120 over 48. Now there are two things still that need to happen. First of all, this needs to be simplified, and second of all, it needs to be in a proper form, which means either a simplified fraction or a mixed number. So we're going to find those common factors of 120 and 48. Now you could start by knowing that they're both even numbers and just start dividing by 2. That's going to take you a while. So if you know your factors of 120 and your factors of 48, you might recognize that they both divide by 24. And 120 divided by 24 is 5. And 48 divided by 24 is 2. So x technically is 5/2. Now, depending upon how they want you to enter an answer, so you're going to have to pay attention on your Math Excel, you may need to put this into mixed number form, which would be 2.5, or you might be able to leave it as an improper fraction. So pay attention to those directions, but do make sure that it is in simplest form. Okay, now I want you to try number 7 with the decimals. That should be a little bit easier than the fractions. See if you can use your properties of equality and solve for b in equation 7. So in this problem, once you use your properties of equality, you should get b equals 6. Now I'd like for you to try 8, 9, 11, 12, and 13. Okay, if you're running into trouble, come back to the video. I'll walk you through step by step how to solve it, but I'd like for you to try them first before you come back to the video. If you're like me and you don't like the boxes on numbers 8 and 9, it's okay if you want to solve them off to the side next to each problem in that white space. Okay, go ahead and take a few seconds here to check your work. On number 8, I did go ahead and fill in the boxes for you just in case you're interested to know what those boxes would look like. But I've done all the work with the steps to get those boxes off here on the left side of the page. So you might need to pause the video while you're checking number 8, and then we'll go on and do number 9. All right, now it's time to check number 9. I did fill in the first box to show you how to combine those like terms, and then I didn't do the rest of the boxes because I feel like the book is leaving off a lot of steps. So what I've done instead is I've showed you that work over here on the right side of the page. So take a look at that, please. And you might want to pause the video while you're checking or completing your work. See me if you have any questions about what I did, especially before you go on to number 11. And here is number 11. Okay, I've got all the work right here to show you how to solve that, and the value of G is 2. Part B, though, says to explain how you can check that the value you found for G is correct. And if your check does not work, does that mean that your result is incorrect? And the answer to that second question is yes. Only a correct value makes the equation true. So here's how you go about checking your answer. So we're going to do that right down here below the work. Take your value for G, and we're going to put it back into the equation everywhere we see a G and see if this equation is true. So the first thing we're going to do is multiply the 5 3/10 times 2. And then the second thing we're going to do is multiply the 2 3/10 times 2. And then we're going to check to make sure that the two sides of the equation are equal. So 10 6/10 plus 9 is 19 6/10. And 4 6/10 plus 15 is 19 6/10. So this checks out, which means it's true, which means our solution of G equals 2 is correct. Now do the same thing on question 12. Solve for X, and then come back and check your answer when you're finished. Okay, go ahead and take a look at number 12, and you should have gotten X equals 4. Check your work before you go on to number 13. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to define what the variable is and what it represents. So we're going to let M equal the number of months. Now take a look at the problem so that we can set this up and we know what we're going to be solving. A town's population is 43,425. About 125 people move out of the town each month. Each month, 200 people on average move into town. So right now what I know is that 125 people are moving out each month. And I know that there are 200 people moving into town each month. So what I'm representing here is the amount of the change in population for each month. But we're going to add to that the actual population of the town, 43,425. That's going to be equal to the nearby town, which it has a population of 45,000. It has no one moving in, and an average of 150 people moving away every month. Now we're going to solve this to find out M, which is the number of months until the population of the two towns is equal. And there's your solution to number 13. Notice that I first combined like terms, and then I started using my properties of equality to get the terms with the M's over to the left, and I took the constant terms over to the right side of the equal sign, and then I solved a two-step equation for my variable M. So M equals 7 months. So let's finish up by doing questions 14, 15, and 16. Again, I'd like for you to try these on your own and then come back and check your answer to see how you're doing. Okay, we'll put up the answers one at a time, give you time to check over them. Okay, pause the video if necessary while you're checking your work or while you're completing work or fixing your work, and then we'll go on to the next one. Here's your work and solution that goes with number 14. Okay, so we have part A on the left, or for Yoga Studio A on the left, and Yoga Studio B on the right side of that equation. And then I used my properties of equality. I moved the variable terms to the left side of the equation, and I moved the constant terms over to the right side of the equation. And then I solved 4M, and I found that after 4 months, the total cost for each of those health club yoga studio memberships would be the same. Before we get into the solution on number 15, let's take a look at some of the conditions that we see here in the question. It tells us that the price of stock A at 9 a.m. was $12.73, and since then it's been increasing at the rate of 6 cents per hour. But then it says at noon, so a different time period, actually 3 hours later. Okay, 3 hours later, stock B was $13.48, and it begins to decrease, not increase, but decrease at the rate of 14 cents per hour. And we're going to have the stocks continue to increase or decrease at that same rate, and they want to know in how many hours will the prices of the stocks be the same. Well, the first thing that we have to do is we have to even up the time frame here. So stock A started 3 hours earlier, and it was increasing at a rate of 6 cents per hour. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 6 cents and multiply by the 3 hours that it got a head start and find out that that's an extra 18 cents added on to the price. So that's what you see right here. So I'm going to take that $12.73 and I'm going to add 18 cents to it. Plus, I still need to add the hourly amount that it increases, which is that 6 cents times H for the number of hours. Then when you look across at the other side of the equal sign, you have the price of stock B, so the $13.48, and we know that, I made a mistake here, we know that this stock is not increasing, it is decreasing at a rate of 14 cents per hour. So 14 hundredths times H is the 14 cents per hour. Now this is the equation that we're going to solve. So first of all, let's combine our like terms on the left and get a simpler equation. So here's what that looks like when you combine your like terms to simplify your equation. Now use your properties of equality and solve for H. Now take a look at the rest of that solution on number 15. So we used our properties of equality to get the variable terms on the left side of the equal sign, and our constant term is on the right side. When you do the final step, which is this step right here, and you divide both sides by that 20 hundredths, you do get a decimal answer. Okay, H is equal to 2 and 85 hundredths. We normally don't measure hours with decimals, so you can change that back into the form of hours and minutes by finding out what 85 hundredths of 60 minutes is, and 85 hundredths times 60 is 51 minutes. Now the last problem we're going to do is number 16. All right, in this problem, B is the correct answer for part A. 12x represents adding the 12 points when the answer was correct, and taking away 5x is representing the losing of 5 points per incorrect answer. And then we're going to put those two things with the 165 points that the team already has. Okay, and then what we see on the right side of that equal sign is school B. They already have the 65 points, that's why it's added in here. Okay, and it says they give no incorrect answers, and they have the same number of correct answers as school A. So that would be the 12x here that you see. Okay, since it's the same number. And then we're going to combine our like terms first and solve. And you should get 20 answers is what each school got correct in the final round. All right, please make sure that your work is complete. If you need to do it on scratch paper, just make sure you slide that scratch paper in your pages for that lesson. You might even want to staple it in there so it doesn't get lost. Now it sounds like you're ready to get to work. Come see me if you have questions.